Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Palladium Worldbook 11, the Eastern Territory. In today's segment, we're going to talk about new OCCs and an RCC that is given to us in this book and how it affects your possible campaigns here and the Eastern Territory as a whole. So let's go ahead and get into that right now. All right, here we go. First, we're going to look at the Master Collector. Then we're going to look at the Holy Palladia, or Paladins, of a god called Ruga. Rural Juror, basically. That's how it's Ruga. And then we're going to look at the Danzi, an RCC that is specific to the Eastern Territories because they were killed off everywhere else. So we're going to do that right now. Going to page 21. Okay, Master Collector. Now, these guys are pretty cool. Watch this. The Master Collector is a cut above the typical investigator and recovery agent of the Coalition Merchants Guild. The ordinary collector is capable and have psionics or a knack for the job, which is why they were hired as collectors. Think of these guys as James Bond secret agent dudes, right? They go in, gather intel, find some missing stuff or plant some things and get out. That's what master collectors do. Only they're very, very good at their job. They're not their normal 007. They're James Bond. They are up there. Like 90% of them have psionics of some capacity, and all of them are really good at finding out the truth. They're especially skilled at undercover work, investigation, intelligence gathering, surveillance, and subtlety. They can be as brutal as any other collector and often masters of intimidation, but then elite status makes them even more likely to act as judge, jury, and executioner, although they are much more likely to do so based on hard evidence and the law. So they have a license to kill from their respective government or agency or whatever. They can kill folk. They can judge someone who's, nope, you got to go. Having you breathe in air is not good for my people. You got to die. They die. Now, let's see here. Here we go. When you make this OCC, you roll for psionic powers 1 through 60 on a D100. You get a minor. You are a minor psychic. You get to choose some powers. 61 to 90, you are a major psychic. You get to choose even better powers. But a 91 to 100, you are non-psychic. But you get bonuses to IQ, to ME. You get a bonus percentage to tracking, surveillance, intelligence, interrogation, streetwise, plus 3 extra OCC related skills. You get a +5 bonus to, on top of whatever bonuses you get because they are OCC skills.
I almost want, actually, no, I want to roll non-psionic.
Hey, I'm sure if you tell the game master, hey, can I be a non-psionic collector? Sure. Oh, great. Thanks. I got 98s and everything, like whatever. That'd be great. And their skills are, well, they have to have a minimum IQ, ME, and physical prowess of 9. So they have three stat requirements. 9 is not bad. It's not a high stat requirement, but there's 3 of them. You get 98% language of Eastern and 1 of choice at a plus 20%. Is there anything? Yeah. Math, prowl, streetwise, surveillance, track humanoids, intelligence, interrogation, land navigation, literacy, 2 weapon proficiencies. You start with hand-to-hand expert, but you can go martial arts or assassin for 2 skills, 2 other skill choices. Your related skills are communication, domestic, espionage, horsemanship, medical, military, physical, any. Boxing included. Rogue, any. Advanced math only, but advanced math. Scholar, any. Weapon proficiency, any. Wilderness, any. Remember, you are a tracker, investigator, and sometimes assassin. That's what you do. So you are a thief, you are a wilderness scout, and you are a man-at-arms, all rolled into one. And not many compromises are made in any of these. You are very effective in all 3 roles. So if you want a threefer, a triple threat in your PC group, this is the guy. Starts with studded leather, obviously armor, weapons, dagger, blackjack, and 2 weapons of choice. Character starts with 300 gold. From 1st to 5th level is on the B list. You got to prove yourself. Once you get to 6th level, you're a proven, A-lister. A master collector may work alone in pairs or lead a team of A- or A or B list collectors. And this is your experience chart. So these collectors are pretty cool. And like I said, they are a triple threat. So if your group is lacking in 2 areas, say thievery and wilderness scout, this guy will fill both roles. And he'll be useful in a fight with the other man-at-arms people. It's a good deal. I like this OCC. It's got flavor, it's got power, it's got gravitas, the whole thing. And then we go to the Holy Paladin of Ruurga. Yeah, this is an optional OCC because this is a specific god. Now, if you as the game master do not want this specific god in the campaign, then, well, you can't have this OCC. Now, being a paladin of this specific god is very much like an old D&D paladin. You are a fighter, a warrior cleric of God. The only difference is you are beholden to your God, not to the church, then your God. You only answer to your God. And the way you answer is you follow a certain code of chivalry. Ruga's code of chivalry. As long as you follow that, God loves you. And gives you God stuff. Let's see what kind of God stuff you get. Special Holy Paladin gifts. Way of the Horse, same as a regular Paladin, do cool horse stuff. Way of the Lance, same as a Paladin, do cool lance stuff. Paladin's Demon Death Blow. Against supernatural creatures, you have a special attack. And then that's where the similarities stop, because now your Ruga's gifts, the Way of Truth and War. In addition to the unique skills and abilities of a Paladin, the Paladins of Ruga are granted a few magical abilities which will help them hunt and slay enemies of Ruga. Truth is absolute. You can do white lies. Does this make me look fat? It would be stupid to answer yes. So you say, no, baby, you look fine. That's okay. But any other lie will incur the wrath of your God. You will not suffer liars in your presence, and you will never lie yourself. So the alignments are restricted for being a Paladin of Ruga. You can basically only be scrupulous, unscrupulous, and aberrant, and that's basically it. Because everything else is lying is too easy. You would lie most of the time. And if you didn't, it would be an alignment shift, right? So you can't do that. Globe of Daylight, same as the spell. Sense supernatural evil. Words of Truth, that is the spell description on page 200 of Palladium Fantasy book. It's basically you force people to tell the truth in your presence. They get a saving throw, obviously, but that you get what I mean. Immune to mind-affecting magic, but not psionics. You definitely can never be possessed. You get +4 to save versus magic that controls or confuses the mind, and a +4 to save versus magical fear and horror factor. God, puts a beautiful little blanket over your mind, so you can't be easily affected by this.
I never understood that. Why would he have the resistance to magic but not psionics?
Probably because God doesn't protect you against mind powers. I don't know. Gods are fickle, man. What are you gonna do?
It almost seems, I don't want to say like a worthless ability, but
well, apparently in this world, magic is much more prevalent than psionics. So there you go. Must be absolutely truthful, so principled, scrupulous, and aberrant alignments only. Like I said, minimum attribute requirements. Remember, you are a paladin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attribute requirements. How many are there? 8? Yeah, almost all of them. You can be a slow paladin.
And you can be an ugly paladin.
And you can be an ugly paladin. But that's it. You can't be anything else and still be a paladin. And these are your normal stuff. Dance, heraldry, history. That's normal, like, noble knight stuff. You got to have that stuff. Lore and culture, literacy. That's all expected of, a high-level knight of some kind. And you get your starting equipment, armor, stuff like that, just like a paladin from the main Palladium Fantasy book. Money, just like a paladin. And here's your experience table. So this is an optional OCC because it is not necessary. Paladins already exist, right? Just be a paladin. But if your game master wants this God of War, Ruga, God of War and Truth, in the campaign for some reason, then you can be a paladin of this god and get all the paladin stuff and more. Great.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
here it is.
I like it when things become a bit how niche isn't the word I want to use, but I'm going to go with it. For a certain campaign area. So I don't mind. I mean, if you're doing something out of Eastern Territory, I think it's a good class to have it.
Yeah, yeah. Here's that map I was talking about. I knew I'd hit it. Eastern Territory. Here's the Western Empire, Yinsloth Jungles, Old Kingdom, Tamiro Kingdom, the Great Northern Wilderness where the Wolfen are. And there's a couple of islands, the Isle of Cyclops, and these islands over here. I think, are they part of the Eastern Territory? I'm not sure. I forget. But yeah, no one is allowed to own too much of this without getting in trouble from the other kingdoms. They'll all band together and mess with you because there's supposed to be the Wild West, supposed to be a lottery. All right, now we go into the Danzi. These are the oppressed peoples. These are the real oppressed people of this world. The Danzi are one of the last surviving archaic races, dating back to the Age of Chaos and the war against the Old Ones. They were devout followers of ancient gods of light and dark and joined them in the battle against the Old Ones. The Danzi played an important role in the final defeat of Natosa, one of the Old Ones, who had claimed the Eastern Territories as his personal playground. During the final battle against Natosa, Set, not yet Lord of God of Darkness, delayed in bringing his forces to bear, and nearly 60 million Danzi, 99% of the population, perished at the hands of the vile Old One. When Set decided to finally arrive, the Danzi race was nearly extinct, but they still battled onward, sacrificing even more lives to put an end to the time of chaos. It is said that only through the Danzi's great sacrifice and the arrival of Set's legions was Natosa defeated, but not before the dreaded Old One would take his final vengeance by stripping the Danzi of their once formidable magic powers. According to lore, the Danzi were once powerful creatures of magic akin to fairy folk, but those powers virtually disappeared as a result of the curse uttered by Natosa moments before he succumbed to the magic slumber of the ages. Over the next 80 millennia, the Danzi have lived in isolation, the tragedy of their near genocide more than any could bear. Less than 200,000 were said to have survived. The conduct of Set and the callous indifference of the other gods gave the Danzi reason to turn their backs on the higher power. See, they were more hurt by the fact they devoutly worshipped the gods of dark and light, who were not separate at this point. And they were betrayed by one of the gods and then left by all the others.
Is it? I forget. Isn't Set actually an old one or taken over by an old one or something?
No. Thoth used to be an old one, transformed into a god.
Oh, okay. That's what
His memories were erased, so he doesn't remember being an old one. Anyway, no god or demigod sung about their titanic battle or great personal sacrifice. Indeed, Set and the gods who had joined him in battle, Ra and Anur, chastised them, pointing out others had sacrificed so much more, with scores of people completely wiped out. You're lucky you're not all dead. Dude, 60 million dead. And you come back with, well, you're lucky you're all not dead. I'd be pissed too. I'd be pissed. And they are. So much so that they will never again look at a god with trust or even like ever again. Clerics, they hate clerics. Peddle your god crap elsewhere. We don't want you here. As a matter of fact, even if a Danzi child is imminently dying of something, they will not allow a cleric to heal him. Not allow it. Will not give gods the satisfaction of helping us, because they never have. F them. That's real. That's real hate. And they got beef. I'm going to tell you right now, they got beef. So let's see what they do. Let's see what they get as the RCC. Let's see. We're going to go down. Danzi way of life. Don't really care. There it is. Alignment. Any but tend to be principled, scrupulous, or unprincipled, or aberrant. So they're not evil. They're just bitter, which I get. They generally have better stats than humans, but a little bit less intelligent. Well, slightly less intelligent. I mean, let's think about it.
And MA.
2d6 plus 3 is basically the same as 3d6 by like an average of a half a point. So whatever, same thing. But their ME, their PP, their physical endurance, and their speed are all average much higher, especially speed, than humans. Hit points, same as everybody. SDC 20 plus whatever they get from physical skills. PPE, they have natural PPE, 1d6 times 10 plus their PE attribute number. So they still have some inherent magic left. The old one couldn't strip it all away, but stripped, a lot of it away. Average 6 to 7 feet tall, weigh 180 to 275 pounds. Average lifespan 320 years. Some live to be 400. This is again drastically lower. They used to live for thousands of years when they were more magical. They don't get that crap anymore. Thanks a lot, old ones. You suck. RCCs, all Danzi speak their own language, a guttural variant dialect of fairy. A fairy can understand a Danzi, and a Danzi can understand a fairy at 70% proficiency. All Danzi have the equivalent skills of land navigation, wilderness survival, swim, prowl, all that stuff. OCCs available to Danzi are cultural restraints of the race means Danzi are unlikely to be anything except one of the following: ranger, mercenary, assassin, vagabond, farmer. A small number are shamans, druid, or warlock, while those blessed with psychic powers can take a psychic OCC. They will never be a cleric. Ever. If your game master, for some reason, says you come across a Danzi cleric of light, leave the table. Your game master's a dick. Doesn't understand the assignment at all.
So their magic powers weren't stripped completely. I mean, they can still be warlocks and druids.
Yeah. But their natural abilities: night vision 400 feet, superior day vision and hearing, +1 initiative, +1 dodge. Natural runners can leap 6 feet high, 12 feet across with just a few steps. They can run for a very long time. They have a natural armor rating of 8. They have enhanced healing factor, 2d6 plus 3 hit points or SDC every 12 hours instead of the normal 1 or 2 a day. That's great. Limited resistance to magic, +5 to save versus fairy magic, +6 to save versus fairy food, +2 to save versus summoning, +5 versus possession, and cannot be magically turned to stone. On the downside, magical metamorphosis only lasts half as long. These are drastically reduced from the numbers they were. They were so highly magical, it was disgusting. Natural magic abilities can perform each of the following spells on others or self once per 24 hours. Sense magic, chameleon, commune with spirits, all at 6th level potency. No PPE necessary. These abilities are all that's left of their once fairy-like magical abilities. And if I ever go over the fairy RCC, you'll know they have so many more natural magical abilities. So many more. This is all that's left. Danzi may also possess mystical abilities through magic-based OCCs, like the Shaman, Druid, and Warlock. When you're a Shaman, Druid, or Warlock, you get Shaman, Druid, Warlock abilities that are magical. You get those. They will never consider becoming a priest, witch, or any OCC that involves deities or giving oneself to the supernatural. Ever again. Never. Always remember. Gods suck. Supernatural beings suck. They care about themselves, not anyone else. This is a lesson that was bathed in blood in them. All right. Not going to work. No. Psionics, less common among humans. Only 10% of Danzi possess psionic powers, 7% minor, 2% major, and that's it. They don't like all canines, including wolfen, coyotes, cankerant, or bearmen, but especially coyotes because they're stupid dicks. They often find themselves pitted against other members of the monster races, ogres, orcs, goblins, giants. Because they're all in Eastern Territory and they're all rampaging monsters, so you got to kill them. Danzi have no love for the gods and look upon all members of clergy, religious crusaders, and openly devout as dangerous fanatics and pawns of supernatural forces. They feel similarly about witches, necromancers, summoners, and any occupation that worships or allies itself with supernatural powers, especially gods. I love these guys. They hate witches. They hate summoners. They will hate shifters if they ever meet one. For cause, for good reason. They're playing with powers that don't care about them. You're going to get burned, and you're going to burn everyone around you. They're not going to be around you. Allies, not really. I mean, humans are the most get along type thing with Danzy. The most. Elves and dwarves, they don't like them that much, but they'll tolerate them. But humans are like, okay, we can actually be friends in certain circumstances. Everyone else, go to hell. Let's see. Habitat, wilderness, particularly forests. That's where they live because that's where they can hide. Special shaman Danzies. Okay, now, there's a story. Like all stories start, it's got some truth to it because it's a story that is replicated in other cultures. Thousands and thousands of years ago, after the defeat of the old ones, there was a Draco form, a dragon of some kind, came to the Danzy survivors and gave them the ability to make spirit tattoos. Now, it's very much like tattoo magic, also given to the Atlanteans and to other races by, guess what? Dragons. And only the Danzy shaman can mark someone with a spirit tattoo. Well, what does a spirit tattoo do? Spirit tattoo theoretically taps into the blocked power of the Danzy race and allows you to access that power for short periods of time at cost. What's the cost? Hit points, not PPE, hit points. Let me give you some examples here. We'll move down to the powers, which are way too far down. Spirit tattoo. Here we go. Spirit tattoos. Here we go. Some of the powers. Example, cleansing fire. When activated, a wave of energy washes over the individual items or items in a container to destroy any disease, poison, or filth from them. In the case of food and drink, it makes them safe to consume. In the case of living creatures, it will purge them of infection, fever, stomach ailment, boils, rash, poison, providing instant relief. Great. HP activation cost, 4. That means when you activate it, it will cost you 4 hit points. So at low levels, you'll not be using this a lot. Now, what about other stuff? Reflect magic, HP activation cost 10 or more. 10 or more. Duration, 1 melee round per 10 hit points invested in the activation. That means it will last 1 round per 10 hit points you decide to burn into it. Now, here's the thing with these spirit tattoos that have durations longer than instant. You pay the hit point cost after it's over. That is something you're going to have to be very cognizant of if you're playing a Danzy with spirit tattoos. Because let's say you have 60 hit points, but you're fighting like 5 mages. You activate this for 4 rounds. That's 40 hit points you lose at the end of 4 rounds. Not now, at the end of 4 rounds. This potent tattoo reflects spell magic, including fireballs, lightning, and those created by reading a scroll or fired from a magic wand or weapon back upon the caster without damage or ill effect to the tattoo wearer. The only limitation is that the magic must be directed solely at the tattoo wearer and cannot be an area effect type magic. Now, it said fireball. It gave fireball as an example. So what I'm reading into this is if you are the target of the fireball, it will reflect the fireball. If the fireball is targeted at your feet or at Joe next to you, it will not be.
Or just, 10 feet away.
Yeah, just in your general direction, then it won't be reflected. But if it's targeted at you, it will be reflected. And that's great. But you got to remember, at the end of 4 rounds, you're going to be minus 40 hit points. If you lose 20 hit points in the 4 rounds before that, you'll be at 0 and you'll be dying. So this is very dangerous. And the reason it is this is because the old one's curse is very strong. You can't pay for it with PPE. You have to pay for it in blood. That's the only way to overcome the curse. Pay for it in blood. Now, my interpretation of the tattoo magic is one of the possibilities given in the book. I just think it's more story and thematically appropriate. The other interpretation is it's just like a regular magic tattoo. It just pays for it in a different way. Well, that's not fun. That doesn't add any good story or background. The variant does. The what, the book also, well, it may also be this. Well, yeah, make it that, because that has more oomph to it. That's more gravity. I like that. Spirit armor activation costs 10. 5 minutes plus 1 minute per level of experience. Once activated, your natural armor rating is increased by 4 points. Normal Danzy has a natural armor rating of 8. Well, now it's 12. A shaman has a normal of 10. Now it's 14. A wandering shaman has a normal of 11. Now it's 15. Now, it is possible for humans, elves, dwarves, and gnomes to have spirit tattoos on them. It is possible, but you don't get the full benefit. And in my interpretation of it, it wouldn't work, because
would it still be hit points for them too?
It would still be hit points for them too. But if you use the optional interpretation that I'm using for why these spirit tattoos work at all, you can't give it to non-Danzy.
Yeah, I think some things, when it comes to racial character classes, I think should stay with the race.
I agree. But remember, at the end of the 5 minutes plus 1 minute per level experience, you're taking 10 hit points damage. And if you need armor, that means you're going to fight, and you might take too much. All right, and then it goes to the disputed lands, but we already talked about the disputed lands. They're north of the northern part of the Eastern Territory that's bordering the Wolfen forests, and it's disputed because the Wolfen say it's theirs. Everyone in the Eastern Territory say it's not. That's what makes it disputed. That's it. I read the whole thing, and it boils down to that. Basically it. So those are the OCC and RCC that most that are incorporated in this book. Now, if you use the Danzy RCC in your campaign, make sure to do them justice. All right, don't just hand wave their pain, their grievances against gods and supernatural creatures, especially if someone in your group is a cleric. You make it absolutely clear that this bitch gots to go. Or if they're necessary, they're never going to be your friend. They're never going to be the cleric's friend. And if you start proselytizing to anyone around me, I might just slit your throat. Make that clear. And witches, well, you should kill them anyway. I mean, like,
witches get stitches.
No. Stitches are for living people. No, witches get killed. Just dead.
Just keeping the show family friendly.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, witches are not family friendly.
Witches fall down.
Yeah, and they don't get up. That's the plan. So that is it.
Okay. Only start 2 comments for this. First one is this one. It says, bought more merch from you guys, 2 different cups, and one of them was this one. I can't, because I'm the game master, that's why. And the other one was dice don't care about your feelings. So that was good. I saw that order come through, I think yesterday, day before. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. I think, you're doing it off of Redbubble, aren't you? Yeah, it looks like you're doing it off Redbubble. So cool. Appreciate that. Spread the word. And it's good stuff. And then Ravenslayer says, magic is a different sphere than psionics.
That is absolutely true. It's a completely different thing. And, but the thing is, most gods are proficient in both. But, you are a paladin. You're not a full-on cleric. But,
My issue is the prevalence of it, and it doesn't seem like an actual decent, I shouldn't say decent. I mean, look, stopping 50%, we'll just say that's the number. 50% of the people out there that can use an ability is better than 0. I get that, but it's only a +4 to the saving throw, even on top of that. So, I don't know. I think it should just, personally, I think it should affect both. Otherwise, It just seems kind of like not something I care too much about, because you know how many people play psychics, and you know, well, I mean,
I'll
how
melt
many?
your mind.
Yeah, I'll melt you, might right. So that's just how I'm looking at it. I think it's the power that should be blocked, not where the power comes from. But that's just a quibble I have.
Oh, you as the game master, if you want, you can have it be +4 against psionic mind control or possession, or not. They can't be possessed at all, but mind control or coercion as well. I mean, easily. Just give them the +4. Okay, cool.
All right, that's all I mean, unless psychics are like 1% of the population, characters literally have to roll an odd one to be one or something.
No, I think it's more like 20 for humans. Each race is different. Like the Danzi were 10%. Humans are like 15 or 20. Elves and dwarves, I think, are less. But I think the humans at the most psychics at 15 to 20. So you're
Still
not
quite a
going to
bit.
run across a lot of them, but you will at some point.
I know when you're talking adventurers, 20%, you got a party of 5 people. Well, guess what? One of them is a psychic.
Yeah. Look to your left. Look to your right. If they're not psychic, you are.
There you go. All right, what are you covering next? The Glade.
Next, we are looking at one of the many towns introduced in the Eastern Territories book, the Glade. The reason I chose it is because it has a resident Millennium Tree, or Tree of Life, as it's called. And I wanted to see the difference between the Rift's Millennium Tree and the Palladium Fantasy Millennium Tree. High magic MDC, low magic SDC. I wanted to see what the compare and contrast. I want to see what's different and what's not. So tune in for that, coming up either next or a couple of days, whichever one you, depending on if you're watching live or on Memorex.
And like, subscribe, and share.